Okay, in this video, we are going to be crafting some exponential functions. So we're going to do three different forms. We're just going to do the standard form, which is just b to the x. Then we'll do one that has a constant in front of the b to the x, and we'll also do a one that has a negative exponent in the x. Okay, so let's look at the first one. This is a basic one, 5 over 8. Okay, so we're just going to plug in these points. And we know that exponential functions have a horizontal asymptote of y is equal to 0 unless something has been changed in the function, okay, shifted around in some sort. So we will plug in a -2 here. So I get 5 over 8 to the -2. Okay, that becomes 8 over 5 to the +2. I just flip it. Now distribute the exponent, it becomes 64 over 25. Okay, 64 over 25 is about 2.5 or so. So you get -2, comma, 64 over 25. Okay. The next one, -1 plugs in. So you get 5/8 to the -1, which is just 8 over 5. We flip the fraction. So that becomes -1, comma, 8 over 5, which is about 1.5 or so. 0, we plug in, we get 5 over 8. 0, anything to the 0 power is 1. So 0, 1. On the 1, we get 5 over 8 to the 1, which of course is just 5 over 8. Okay, so it's a little more than a half. Okay, so you get 1 comma 5 over 8. And then 2, so 5 over 8 to the 2 power becomes 25 over 64, which is about a third or so. So 2 comma 24 over 64. Okay, so we are going to graph this thing. See, all my values are positive on the y-axis, so I can do this. Here's my coordinate grid. I don't need underneath because I know my exponential is always going to be, this exponential is going to be above the x-axis. Okay, so here's 1, 2, -1, -2, and let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on this one. Okay, so first, -2, and there's 64 over 25, which is about 2.5. So 2.5 is about right there. So that's the point, -2, and then 64 over 25. And then -1, 8 over 5, that's about 1.5. So that one goes about right there at -1. 0, 1 is here. 1, 5/8 is here. And then 2, 24, 64 is here. So kind of a slower moving one because it is less than 1, right? So it's kind of doing this, looks like. Okay, so there's the graph of that. And we know that the asymptote is going to be this right here, right there on y is equal to 0. Okay, let's look at the next one. This one, we've got 1/4 to the x. So let's plug in our numbers. So 1 over 4 to the -2 becomes 4 to the +2 because it flips, becomes 4 over 1 or just 4, which is 16. So -2 comma 16. On -1, it's 1/4 to the -1 means I flip it, it becomes a 4. So -1 comma 4. 0 plugs in, so 1/4 to the 0 is equal to 1. So that's 0, 1. The 1 we plug in, we get 1 over 4 to the 1, which is just 1 over 4. So 1 comma 1 over 4. And then 2, 1 over 4 to the 2 is going to be 1 over 16. So 2 comma 1 over 16. Okay, so we know that we have our highest number above the x-axis is going to be a 16. Okay, and I'm still only going left and right 2. So I can still get away with doing this and not showing underneath the graph because this is positive. Okay, so let's plug in some points. Here's 1, or -1, -2, +1, +2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All right, so -2 goes all the way up to 16. -1 goes to 4. 2, 3, 4. 0 goes to 1. 1 goes to 1/4. And 2 goes to 1/16, which is very close to the y-axis, but not actually touching it. Okay, and here is our exponential graph, and our asymptote would again be this right here. Okay, a couple more problems. So this time we have a number out front. That number is negative out front. Okay, so let's plug the numbers into that. We get -4, and then we have 4 over 5 to the -2. That becomes -4, 5 over 4 to the +2, which becomes -4 times 5 times 5 on top, and then 4 times 4 on bottom. Okay, so that becomes, let's see, on top, one of these cancels out. So you get 25, -25 on top and a 4 on bottom. So -2 and then -25 over 4. -25 over 4, I can write that over here. -25 over 4 is, let's see, 25, -25 over 4 is -6.25. Okay. All right, so let's put this one in. So we get -4 times 4 over 5 to the -1, which becomes -4 times 5 over 4, which becomes, after these cancel out, -5. So you get -1, -5. Okay, let's do the next one. So -4 times 4/5 to the 0. The 4/5 term goes away because it's raised to the 1 power, so you just get -4. So 0, -4. Okay, 1, plug that in, -4, 4/5 to the 1. That's going to be -16 over 5. So we get 1 comma -16 over 5, which is like 3 and a fifth, -3 and a fifth. And then the last one, we plug in a 2. So 4 over 5 to the 2 becomes -4 times 4 times 4 on top, and then 5 times 5 on bottom, which becomes -64 over 25. So we get 2 and then -64 over 25. Okay, so it looks like my y values are all negative here. So I'm going to draw the opposite kind of graph. I'm going to have the x-axis be up here. Okay, here's 1, -1, -2, +1, +2, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so -2 went to, we said that was -6.25. So right about here. -1 went to -5. So here. 0 went to -4. 1 went to -16 over 5, which is like a little bit more than -3. So like here. And then 2 went to -64 over 25, which is about 2.5. Okay, so it's hard to kind of see that this thing is curving at this point in the graph. You kind of need to zoom out on it, but you can't expect that it will eventually start doing this as you go, and this will eventually go down faster, and this will eventually level off. And you can look at the calculator and graph it. Okay, so I zoomed out so you could see this graph. Obviously, we were only graphing by paper between -2 and +2, so we're seeing this little spot in here. But I zoomed out to -10 to +10, and we can see that it is exponential in nature. All right, one more. Oh, and this is still the asymptote. Okay, hasn't been shifted at all. All right, so last one, we've got a negative exponent. So all I'm going to do is flip it and make it a positive exponent. That's the only difference in this problem. We can just flip it and keep it a positive exponent. Okay, so that becomes 2/3 to the -2, which will be 3 over 2 to the 2, which is 9 over 4. Okay, so -2 comma 9 over 4. All right, next one, we get -1, so 2/3 to the -1. Okay, that becomes 3 over 2. So -1 comma 3 over 2. 0, so 2/3, 0 is equal to 1, so 0, 1. We get 2/3 to the 1, which is just 2/3. And then the last one, we get 2/3 to the 2, which is 4/9. So 2 comma 4/9. Okay, so these are all positive values, and they're all pretty small on the y-axis. So I should be able to not have to write too many numbers. But since it's all above the x-axis because it's all positive, we can look at it like this. Okay, here's +1, +2, -1, -2, and here's +1, +2, +3, +4. Okay, first one, -2, and then 9/4. 9/4 is equal to 2.25. Okay, so it's 2.25 would be about right there. Okay, just a little bit above 2. All right, then -1 comma 3/2 is 3/2 is 1/2. There's that one. 0, 1 is this one. 1 2/3 is here, and then 2 4/9, which is less than half, is here. So it's going to be kind of doing this, and it will eventually go on out there. And your asymptote again has not been shifted, so it's still this right here.